Taken by Grealish. Goes Ake! Nathan Ake! Lovely close control by De Bruyne.
It's in the box.
Another good ball in. Oh, it's an own goal!
It's headed into his own net by the defender. One in by KDB. Powers that into the top right corner. Very promising indeed for the one-time Aston Villa man.
Jack Grealish! Cancelo! What a hit!
Ruben Diaz tries to turn it in. Gabriel Jesus does. Ball over, brought down in the box, and it's tapped into the net. Steps forward, it sends Mignolet the wrong way. Riyad Mahrez with the goal. Here's another goal for Manchester City from the other fullback, Kyle Walker. Here's Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer looking for his first Champions League goal. It's Mahrez. Mahrez bearing down on goal. Mahrez with the finish.
A very good evening and welcome along to Matchday Live. Thank you for joining us in the show, and there they are, our team bus, turning up at the Etihad Stadium a few minutes before we come live to you. What a treat to be with you this evening as we are back at the Etihad campus for our Champions League Round 4 clash with Club Brugge. Now, Club Brugge are looking for their first victory against English opponents in European competition since February 1995 when they beat Chelsea 1-0 in the Cup Winners' Cup, having failed to win any of their last 13 attempts. However, of course, this year they've already beaten RB Leipzig at the Red Bull Arena, and the Belgian side will be looking to record consecutive away wins for the very first time in the European Cup and UEFA Champions League. Even though we had the Manchester rain in full force this evening, it's still great to see so many fans turning out for our boys in blue, or boys in white, should I say. Lovely colour of tracky bottoms, Puma, might I add. John Stones, of course, coming on at half-time in our game at the weekend. Will he make our starting 11? We can bring you team news in a couple minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Ilkay Gundogan as well. And there he is, a man I love so much, Jack Grealish. If we can get a player interview with him soon, guys, that would be lovely. Two men as well definitely will be hoping to get on the score sheet tonight if they are starting Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden. Friends, how are you? My name is Cel Spellman and welcome along to Matchday Live. We're in a slightly different location and we'd like to thank the club shop and the tour department at Manchester City, because this here is actually where the tour starts if you do come and visit us at the Etihad Stadium in the club shop. So thank you for clearing some space. It's very, very kind. And they've cleared space not just for myself, but two of my esteemed guests that come in the form of Michael Brown and Shaun Gota. Brown, Shaun, great to see you. Brownie, how important is tonight for Manchester City in getting the win?
I think it's very important, isn't it? Pep Guardiola actually saying it's the most important game of the week. It did make me giggle slightly, but I understood why he actually said that. And he wants a reaction, doesn't he? Poor performance, poor results. Yes, we've seen a reaction in the second half with 10 men to try and do something about it. It wasn't to be at the weekend, but the Champions League now, this is the game in front. This is the game that everybody's looking towards, to progressing in this group. And I'm really looking forward to the game. Great week of football ahead. And like you said, a rainy night in Manchester, but hopefully it's a silky performance.
Absolutely. And Shaun, I mean, Brownie alluded to it there. Of course, we know there's a certain amount of a derby at the weekend, which is not the focus. But was that, do you think, just a little bit of mind game from Pep for his players to be like, focus on tonight, not looking at the weekend?
Listen, Pep's always spoken about, the most important game is the game in front of you. And he's worded it exactly that way. This is the most important game because it's tonight. But the derby is in the back of his mind. He knows. But he'll want to go into that one having had a great performance on the back of the Crystal Palace. I think it's about the performance tonight. Yes, I think we're going to win the game, but I think it's about performance. So we go into that derby full of confidence.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, we've got so much to get into tonight for you guys at home as well. Of course, going to be bringing you the starting 11 in just a second. We're going to have Cryptic City as well. We're going to do some player focuses and looking back, of course, last time out of Club Brugge, which involved lots of goals. Can our team emulate the same tonight? Well, the starting 11 as chosen by Pep looks like this. In goal, our Brazilian number one, Ederson, is in net. It's a back four consisting of Kyle Walker. John Stones comes in after, of course, that midweek game against Crystal Palace, coming on at half-time, just after, actually. Aymeric Laporte, and João Cancelo at left-back. It's looking like a middle three of Rodri holding, Ilkay Gundogan captaining the side alongside Bernardo Silva there in the middle, and a forward three of Riyad Mahrez, we think Phil Foden down the middle, going off at the weekend, and Jack Grealish on the left. Looking at our bench, Zach Steffen is on there alongside Scott Carson, Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, and of course, wouldn't we like to see him getting on the score sheet tonight if he comes on a little bit later? Cole Palmer completes our bench. Michael Brown, I'm going to come straight to you. What were your initial thoughts upon seeing that starting 11?
I think it's a great 11, isn't it? You always wonder with Manchester City, with Pep Guardiola, the reactions, the team choices, and the squad that he can use. He's got so many options, but yeah, really impressed by that starting 11. I think it sets a real good tone to the players. It's a strong one. It's a Champions League game we've got to not forget, and I'm impressed. I think it's a really good balance when we're looking down at the team. Rodri, Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, I think that's a three. No, Kevin De Bruyne will be the interesting one, why he hasn't made the team tonight, but Grealish, Ford and Riyad Mahrez at the top of the pitch, coming in possibly off the right-hand side, and I think... I don't know about you, Shaun, but I actually think it's a strong side, it's an attacking one, and I think it's an exciting one for the supporters.
It is, certainly. I mean, I'm always excited when, sometimes before games trying to predict what our starting 11 is going to be. And this one, I was thinking KDB, but then again, I think it's the thought of the derby on the weekend.
Can we think that?
Yeah, I think exactly that. But we've got a strong team, we've got quality, and I'm always loving Gundo when he's in, because he sort of just goes in between centre backs and fullbacks. So exciting to see again Grealish carrying on his form in the Champions League as well.
Just starting there with, of course, KDB. Now we all know how much he means to this club. One of our talisman, of course. But there's been a great conversation this week with Pep in his pre-match interview, just talking about how he kind of knows, and the first person that does know, Kevin De Bruyne, maybe isn't quite performing to the high standards he set himself, which even when he's not performing to them levels, still one of the best centre midfielders. Could that be his thinking, Brown? You think maybe just a little break for him to kind of just get some rest and then maybe come on at half-time or look to the derby?
I think for me is Pep Guardiola will want to play him as many times as possible, understands how he can unlock defences. I feel like when you haven't got a 9 on the top of the pitch, a natural 9, Kevin De Bruyne can unlock different things that no other player can do.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the bigger games they are, the tighter games, you need him in the team. That's for sure. Without that number 9, it's about progression. It's about, we have to understand he played obviously right through the summer. He got the injury, you missed the start, and when you come back from an injury, you generally have a little spike of doing okay, then you have a little sort of tail away, a little low, and just getting yourself back into that momentum and that rhythm. It's Kevin De Bruyne we're talking about. Don't worry, he'll be back, he'll be firing. Yes, the last week or so he's not being his best, but the team performance sometimes has to be better to allow him to get into the rhythm as well. So we always, I don't know. Do we expect too much from him, Shaun, at times because of what he's done already? You know?
Listen, he's just set unbelievable standards, and so we've got this expectation of him. For me, I would be amazed if he doesn't play some minutes, and the reason I say that is because his last game wasn't his best game. I would anticipate him getting on the field 20 minutes to get that out of his system. And the thing is, he could be on for 10 minutes and really impact the game and think he's back to himself. He's given 2 or 3 great killer balls. He's back to himself. Looking forward to the derby as well. So if he doesn't get any minutes tonight, I'll be really surprised. I think it's about giving him 15 minutes, get some minutes to just get it out of his system. So I would anticipate him coming off at some point.
Another player as well who we know is coming back from an injury. Again, Pep was speaking about him in his pre-match conference, if you had a chance to watch that. Ilkay Gundogan, and we know how influential he has been since kind of his arrival. I know he signed him with an injury, and of course, in particular last season. Again, not quite hit his dizzy heights, but would that be down to kind of coming back from injury, which I think as fans, and it's interesting you both there say you kind of know the journey of what it's come back from injury. We sometimes don't fully appreciate or understand what it is like to come back from a setback such as those two have had.
Well, that's the point, and you have different challenges. We talked about this in the build-up to the Brighton game, when all of a sudden he finds himself in a good position straight away. We talked about the forward runs, what he can bring, those late runs, and that sort of intelligence that he has. And I think he's got the trust of the manager.
Yeah.
I think straight away Pep Guardiola explained what he brings to the squad, and it took City fans a little bit of time, didn't it, to wonder what his role was and what he does best. But people, I think, who understood it and knew would obviously say, well, You could see straight away he links, he's a clever player. He just needed to get time to get up to speed. And it'll be the same now when you've missed those games. But we're talking about top, clever, class, the touch, finesse, and just that maybe a little bit stronger when the running gets better when you've actually played a couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, Gundo is a player I just love. I keep flip-flopping with my favorite player because every time we have one change or two changes, I go, oh, this is my favorite player. and Gundo is such a
Should we test him out? We've got to surely see. Who is your favourite player then?
Yeah.
We'll put it right back on.
Remember Pep loses.
I'm right on the fence.
Listen,
thanks very much.
Fernandinho, Foden,
Anybody else?
Yeah, the whole 11. But Gundo he's such a quality player, and he makes it look so easy. He's David Silva, we were witnessing a great player in his time here. And Gundo, again, you're right in terms of, fans was like trying to suss out what he brings. He could play holding midfield. He can play 8, as in he gets up and down. He could play 10. He makes these runs in between centre backs, scoring goals. Last season, the amount of goals he scored from midfield, and for me, I think he could still do with like us loading him up and saying, "Listen, you're an absolute legend, like your quality." But talking about trust, Pep has trust in him. He was his first signing. When it comes to big games, he's always there. And I know in the early stages, but he trusts him.
Absolutely. We have to look to the defence because I think one name that we've been so used to seeing is Ruben Diaz and how important he's been. He, of course, did start against Palace. He is on the bench today. In comes John Stones, partnering Laporte, who did get sent off. What do you think the thinking is there? Because if there's two names I always will put down first on my City team sheet, it's Ederson, then Diaz. So what do you think the thinking is, if you can allude to what maybe Pep is thinking with putting Diaz on the bench and bringing in Stones to partner Laporte?
It's amazing, isn't it, when you can say two people that you'd actually put down on the team sheet. It's very brave to commit that, isn't it? And it's the same going back to Shaun. It's how everybody sees this squad. Isn't that amazing why we love football so much? That everybody can have a different opinion, a different viewpoint. Someone how they start off in formations and different rotations throughout the game. And that's interesting to see why you actually say, why no Ruben Diaz? But I think you look to the weekend, Aymeric Laporte, unavailable.
Yeah.
So you're sort of going, well, how do we get that? Which centre-back do we need to protect? Ruben Diaz has played at the weekend. Yes, John Stones come on straight away. Played a forward pass. We got in straight away, and the goal was ruled out for VAR for offside. And I just think it's a nice combination, Stones and Laporte. Yes, you want to keep Diaz, but he's played more games than the others, and I understand that straight away. I can see it. Full-back positions, he's managed to actually rest a couple of them, play half here and there at times, and I just think it's the balance. You've got to use the squad, and I certainly see why he's done that this evening.
I guess as well for Laporte as well, it's kind of good for him. Obviously, we will know players will be the first person to judge themselves. Probably disappointed with how the weekend went, so it'll be so important, I guess, for him to just get straight back on the pitch and actually know, listen, you're still all right. Don't worry about it. Yeah,
that's the great thing about these players. If they have. I mean, how many times have they had a sub-performance? But, okay, he gets sent off. These guys get right back up on it, and they just deliver. So I would anticipate him a really brilliant performance tonight. For me, what I find key tonight would be a clean sheet. So going back to the Diaz bit, Diaz, Stones, Laporte, between the three of them, I'm not really bothered because I think the quality is just there, whichever two are playing. And, hey, if we got all three on the pitch, then it's really sound.
Did you see the manager got asked actually, didn't he, about Aymeric Laporte to actually to say, well, how do you to get his mindset right? How do you get him playing through it, making mistakes? Aymeric Laporte, Pep Guardiola said, have you seen his performances recently? He's been first class. He's been outstanding. So straight away, he's letting his player know publicly, privately, that he's backing him. He's right there. That's good management, and that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see. So the question was perfect. Whoever asked it. And it was great delivery.
It was. Pep. It really, really was. Well, listen, gents, let's take a look at how we've arrived at this point so far. We are halfway through our group stages in the Champions League. 1 point behind PSG. A win tonight is massive. Here's how we got here.
Grealish on the corner. In swinging, Aki on the run, and Aki finding the goal. City's Champions League campaign is up and running. Grealish onside. Comes inside and scores! Grealish announces his entrance onto the Champions League stage.
Now then, here's Lionel Messi. He's barely been in the game. City have done well to keep him quiet, but he works a 1-2 with Mbappe. Oh, it's typical of him. He's been quiet all evening, but as long as he's on the pitch, he's capable of doing things as magical as that. It's a trademark Messi finish, and it's probably finished City off for the night. Paris Saint-Germain 2, City 0. And De Bruyne and Walker, and another City goal, and another different scorer this season. Kyle Walker becomes City's 15th different scorer, and this game is now won. Fernandinho clips it forward. Is Mahrez onside while the flag has stayed down? And City do have a fifth.
Goals galore there in our Champions League campaign. We're going to talk about that little run in just a second. Not before, though, I've told you guys to get in touch with the show. If you've got any burning questions for our guests, it's also how you can get involved with our Cryptic City, which I'll bring you in just a little bit. Just use that WhatsApp number. You can send us a message, send us a question. They get collated here on this iPad, and I'll put as many as I can to our guests a little bit later on. We love it when you get in touch because this show is very much for you. Ronnie, we look there, and there's a whole thing kind of, especially on the run of the last two games, but especially in Europe now. Not only are we a formidable force, but it feels this season really are playing with that maturity, and actually goals galore for us in this competition, bar the PSG game.
Yeah, it was goals, and I think that's you looked at the group, didn't you? PSG was the standout game we were all looking forward to see, especially the transfer of Lionel Messi and seeing that goal go in. And I still appreciate the talent. Yes, I wanted Manchester City to get a better result than what they actually did, but we've seen the talent of the Champions League, the players that you come up against, and I think it's been a solid start for Manchester City, as you said, seeing goals, seeing performances, seeing Jack Grealish there, and I think it brings everything, and you get to use the squad throughout, and it's a progression, it's a long journey. We all there seen last season what the Champions League actually brought for everybody. Yes, it was a difficult ending, wasn't it? But the journey that everybody went on right up until that last moment tells you what this tournament's all about, and the players love it. They know it's the challenge against the best. Yes, the Premier League's the bread and butter week in, week out, but the Champions League, I don't know about you, Shaun, I think the performances and the teams that they come up against, it's really, really, you've got to be on it all the time, haven't you?
You got to be on it. The impressive thing is, well, not too surprising for me, City's scored 11 goals in the 3 games. I say only. We conceded 6. I think that's key for me tonight, going in with trying to get a clean sheet. But 11 goals, we're averaging, this is what we're averaging, sort of 2-3 goals a game. So really impressive. And this is what Pep is. He has an attacking team, players really going for it. And I anticipate that again tonight. I'm thinking to myself, a pretty high score, but at the same time, I'm more bothered about us having a clean sheet, being able to walk off the field and say, whether it's 2-0, 3-0 or whatever, we can walk off and say, we've got a clean sheet, well done.
Yeah.
Do you think some of these players, Shaun, do you know that they come to the football club? Do you think some of them actually put the Premier League slightly behind this tournament and actually say it's the Champions League is what they're coming for to go and win that? Because they don't, when you come from different parts of the world, it's not always the Premier League.
Yes.
And I know people will not understand that, they won't get it. But I know there'll be a couple of players in there that will actually, this will be everything to them to win the Champions League.
Absolutely right. But at the same time, they also understand these players have all won the league. So that's the thing about it. So it's the Champions League is where they want to perform, and they want other teams to look at the results and say, hey, City are really starting to kick into gear. We don't want to face City in the next round, etc., etc. So, but these players know that.
But you think, personally point of view, do you think it puts them on a different sort of stature of all around the world globally when they do well in this tournament? I feel like they feel like their careers are going to be greater if they do well in this particular tournament.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. It's times 10. I mean, we all follow the Premier League, but again, the Champions League, being able to get to the finals and then being able to go that step further, it's global. It's global. I mean, the amount of my phone's always buzzing with people in Bermuda saying, are your boys up for it tonight? Are they ready for it? It's just around the world. So these players are very much aware of it, and they're looking forward to it. Sure.
How important, guys, is tonight's game in securing our spot in obviously moving through to the last 16 and where we fall in the group?
I think it's very important. I think it's important now for Manchester City. When you play under Pep, I don't know how you can ever not feel like the next game. Do you know when he says it's really important? I'd always be looking over my shoulder thinking, do you know when you want that little bit of a rest day, a rest afternoon, thinking, well, we'll have an easy game today, we'll cruise through if we can. Because ultimately at times, the 3-0 up, 4-0 up, and you want to sort of just cruise and enjoy it. But I don't know if you get that. I think the intensity's always there. Yes, to enjoy it, because that's what we're all here for, is to enjoy our football first and foremost. But with Pep, it's the results, isn't it? That's so important.
I guess as well, final word on particularly this year's competition and last year's, actually, given, it wasn't quite the ending that we all wanted, I know. But the fact I found that we lost 2-0 to PSG in Paris, anyone who seemed to watch the game kind of could only praise City and admire the performance, probably says everything about this Manchester City team, and also now what level they are at after being in this competition for the last 10 years. Yeah,
City and Pep just sort of set a standard within the Champions League in terms of the City fans. They go into the Champions League now and they just think City are going to perform, they're just going to progress through the first rounds and go on from there. So it's such a huge thing for the players. They understand it. I think they want to go through where other teams look and say, wow, City are on some really good form. We don't want to be messing with them.
Shaun, I tell you what, in some of that game, I thought they were incredible. Do you know, at times, moving PSG around, they didn't get the goal. And I felt if the goal had come, I don't know what you think, that I feel that they would have took total controlled possession, dominated dynamically. And it just wasn't to be. And then it looked at the outcome, you think, well, PSG have this strong squad, they have the ability and players, but at times I still think City really set a brilliant tone in the game.
And this is what Pep's teams do, and this is why we love him now. We can go face a PSG, a Real Madrid, and know that we can go still dominate the game, create chances. Again, on that particular night, it wasn't to be, but you always feel, City can go on and score goals and create chances. So again, tonight, different level in terms of PSG and Bruges, but at the same time, City will be up for this and have a good result.
Well, and we've of course got PSG's our next Champions League game, but focusing on the game tonight, it is Bruges, and they were also our last Champions League game a couple of weeks ago. We enjoyed the goals there, ended up finishing 5-1, and we can take a look at those match highlights now. Brownie, this was, I think it was Jolien said it, arguably one of City's greatest Champions League performances, particularly in that kind of first 60 minutes. We were just so dominant.
I was just asked that on City Square, actually. It was Natalie actually was saying it was in her top 5 performances of recent times. And I was saying, well, it's a strong performance. We're playing Bruges. And do you really see that when you look at all the performances? And yes, of games recent times to go and score 5 goals away from home in the Champions League, you can understand why people actually go on and say that. It was a full domination, wasn't it? But I think got to look at the position. I'm slightly cautious of giving it such a high title in order of games, because you look at the importance, the level, who you're playing against. It was a great performance, but I'd still, like I say, not get too carried away.
I mean, for me, what I loved about the game itself was 2 goals were scored by fullbacks.
Well, that was a collector's item, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's shocking his face. I couldn't, honestly. I couldn't. I was crying when I seen his shock, and all the pictures the next day. He's had a bit of stick over that celebration.
But he's made an inverted run, and that's how he scored. And Cancelo receives a ball inside the box, and here we got Cole Palmer. I mean, I want to see a lot more of this kid, because he excites me. He really does.
Yeah, we're actually going to be. We got a little Cole Palmer focus in just a little bit, which I'm excited to get into. But looking at that performance, obviously this was a little bit of a frustration for us. But probably, do you think we could have stopped that? So, should we have kept a clean sheet in that game for you, Brown?
Well, you always want to keep a clean sheet when the game becomes so comfortable. You'd expect everyone to be covering, everybody back behind the ball in good positions, and you won't want to concede at any level, and that'd be something that Pep will be looking at and trying to change. But I tell you now, for me, setting up in this game, when you beat somebody on their own patch by that amount, I think you go and run over them fast. Come to the Etihad, go straight away, go after them, and go and try and set the tone. If you score early, I think they go, here we go, we're back at it again. So I think it's really, I think it could be a real good omen if they can score early, City, in this game.
Fingers crossed. We saw there, and he's back in the starting 11. He wasn't in it against Crystal Palace, but was very key in that game, actually, in most Champions League games. Riyad Mahrez. Not quite hit his form in the Premier League, but in the Champions League, maybe one of those players who was kind of stepping up for all those games. That's that Riyad Mahrez that we were so used to seeing at the end of last season, Shaun. Look at the smile.
Yes, again, favourite player. Favourite player again, Mahrez. Listen, the guy gets the ball and he's just so delightful to watch, Again, the amount of times I watch him and he goes to cross and puts that cut back towards his right foot and I fall for it. And I'm thinking, he hasn't delivered it. He's still got it. He's just exciting. But again, I anticipate him having an impact on the game because he scored. He's got 7 goals and 2 assists, so in all competitions. So he's in really good form. The only one that probably has a slightly better ratio is Foden, 4 goals and 4 assists in 11 starts. But again, Mahrez, the quality that he's delivering, I'm really looking forward to him tonight.
I'll tell you what's really nice, what you'd be looking forward to, all the popularity going up because you're actually saying everybody's your favourite player. So Riyad Mahrez would be saying, I think Shaun goes to you're his favourite player. So they'd be like, Shaun's a great guy, this Shaun goes to. But Riyad Mahrez, I can't speak highly enough of him. I think, firstly, he was incredible in the back half of last season. Mm-hmm. And I feel like his touches coming out of the sky, his ability to go left and right, his creativity is what he added. He added goals, and he's flashed at times this season, hasn't he? But if you don't get that run of games, then there's a little bit of frustration. You realise that you're not a manager's first choice. Yep. So then you start to change your game. You're becoming a little bit edgy. And he's probably in that sort of mode at the moment, isn't he? With the manager not realising he's not first choice. So he's got to come through that. He's got to prove himself against Pep Guardiola. Because he's certainly got the ability, he's got the talent, he's got the determination. I think at times doing the other side, when you haven't actually got a 9 at the top of the pitch, you have to recover a little bit better, help your fullbacks in the wider areas, which is something probably Riyad Mahrez could probably do a little bit better.
Do you think... Sorry, Shaun, go on. No?
Yeah, I think you talk about the players getting edgy. I think the rest and rotation, the players are starting to understand, they've come to accept that. In our time of playing, it was just like, rest? No, I want to play every game. But I think the players understand they'll play 2 or 3, then be rested a game or 2, and it's just about because we go for all trophies. That's just what Pep has put into the team.
See, I get that, but you look at the players who are actually in the team. How many of them would you have expected to play in the Champions League, the bigger games? And he knows. A couple of them know they're not in the main games at the moment. Yeah. And that's something you're not going to change. We could all say we understand it from a squad point of view, from the players all around. But you need that fight. You need that hunger to not accept it fully.
Yes.
You've got to keep going. You've got to be knocking on the manager's door. And by the way, Pep Guardiola said Phil Foden will do that now if he doesn't play in the games. So this is a young player. Yeah. So he also expects it. He's got to manage it. Yeah. And the players have got to be determined. I think if they accept it fully, Pep Guardiola will say, well, I think they've gone.
Yeah. Where's the fight? My final question I want to have just on Mahrez, because, the way we're waxing superlative, and absolutely rightly so, for us City fans, do you think there's actually a case there for us to... We all know his ability, but almost draw parallels with Jack Grealish, because when Riyad Mahrez first came, and I don't think this is more outside the club, everyone's expected him to do what he was doing at Villa. No one remembers that he's actually only ever played for Villa, and this is his first new team. But Mahrez never hit the ground running and needed those 6, 7, 8 months to embed himself in the club. And now we're talking about him, and we've seen him take his game to his next level. Can you draw parallels, do you think, to Jack Grealish?
I think we can. I think we look at, as you said, with... Jack coming in, it's just needing their time, and Mahrez needed their time initially to get himself understand the team. And then you look around the dressing room. You come into City's dressing room, you look to your right, you go, blimey, it's Kevin De Bruyne, and Gundogan, and then Sterling, and you just go on and on with the names, and you just think, okay. And you probably, the players themselves probably go, okay, hold on, I've got to really deliver. And probably that initial period of probably a little self-doubt within himself to think there's world class here, there's quality and world class.
Yeah, but I think literally Riyad Mahrez is going to be looking over and Jack Grealish and saying, well, what are you doing different to me? Are you delivering more? Are you creating more? Are you scoring more? Are you running back more? What are you giving more to the team than me? Because he will feel he's took some of those games off him.
Yes.
That's a fact. Yeah. Every player got to think that, and you've got to think that.
Yeah.
You've got to look across and say, well, it's Champions League night, it's the main Premier League game. If I'm not playing, that's a key area where I was playing.
Yeah.
He's going to be looking across and saying, well, let's have a look here. There'll be the questions he'll also be asking Pep Guardiola, saying, well, what do I need to do different? This is the competition. This is the level we're at. Jack Grealish has got to get a little bit better. Mm-hmm. We know that. Yes, we give him the option and the understanding that it's at a new club, a different environment, and it will take time. But he has to get better. Yeah. He has to perform. He has to create a little bit more than he is at the moment. But he's still doing well.
He really, really is. Love that, gents. All right, let's take a slight pause here in our Matchday live studio. If you've just joined us, thank you so much. Michael Brown and Shaun go to join myself, Cel Spellman. And later on, a little bit on, for our co-commentary, Alistair Mann is joined by Andy Morrison. You can catch that on the Manchester City app when we do come to that game if you're not able to watch it. Can't beat listening to a game, I don't think. And I've always enjoyed Brownie as well when you jump on the commentating. Right, let's hear now from the manager himself. Here is the man we all love and the man in which we trust, Pep Guardiola.
Pep, has it been a difficult week for a club that's so used to winning, to lose a couple of games?
Sorry?
Has it been a difficult week?
No. No.
So the 2 defeats, it's no problem?
We draw one.
Okay.
And we lost the other one. No, but it's part of the game, part of the football. So
yeah.
We are not extremely happy when we won 10 in a row, so we are not disappointed or depressed when we lost 2. It's part of the game, so learn. So today is important for the fact there's a competition in 6 games, and in Premier League still we have, I think, 28 games to play, so it's a little bit different. So yeah, improve for the defeats and go forward.
Yeah, obviously you'll make the next game the most important, but I see 1 or 2 players maybe rested tonight with Saturday in mind. Is that right? No. How do you pick the team then?
Yeah, why do you have to play a game today? Why should be more important the game in 3 days? So I think your press conference is important today, not what we're going to do next Saturday. So I select the team the best as possible, in my point of view, to beat them, because I had the feeling now watching the lineup from Brugge, they changed. They were going to play the 5 in the back. They're going to play 5-3-2 or 5-2-1-2. So we're going to change a little bit. We have to adapt. We didn't practice. We don't know it. So I know, from my experience, the 3rd or 4th game, when I had a result in the 3rd game, like it was good in terms of 1-5. So the managers do something. They cannot do the same they've done 2 weeks ago, like they lost 1-5. But we didn't know it, so we could not talk it. Now we talk a little bit. What do we have to do? Adjust, and the main thing and the target to say, well, we have an incredible step, winning today to qualify for the last 16.
Yeah, it's. I guess that doesn't happen very often, that a team comes up with something you weren't expecting at the last minute.
No, sometimes it happens. So there are teams like, it doesn't matter what happened, always they're going to play in the same way. Some teams, they change depending for many reasons. Even ourselves, sometimes we change. So. And
is top spot in this group important to you?
The most important thing is qualify. And after losing in Paris, so these 2 games become really important. Part of the job, we have done it well in Belgium, but we have now the second part. Of course, we have still Paris Saint-Germain here, Germany away. We need 4-6 points to qualify, and after, of course, we can finish first is better, but who knows? Important is being next round.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Qualification, the most important thing. Is Pep Guardiola rounding off that interview there? There was a question there at the start, of course, and I love Pep because he always plays his cards close to his chest. He answers questions so well, but asked about the difficult week, which he kind of shrugged off. But I think let's just spend a couple of minutes talking about, because, in reality, we lost to Burnley. Yes, it was on penalties, knocked out the League Cup. Then the game against Palace. Is there a slight reason to be concerned if you're Pep, just looking at those 2 games and the 2 performances as well, Brownie?
I think we've just got to understand the Carabao Cup. It's been renowned for Manchester City now for like 5 seasons. Incredible performances, incredible journeys that we've all enjoyed so much. And to go out of that was a really big blow, wasn't it? West Ham, yes, it's a side who are actually doing well, improving. It was a tough game. There was a few changes, and you probably felt 1 or 2 more, a little bit stronger, a little bit more clinical, would have went on and won that. And then the Crystal Palace side, you're looking to sort of go, well, how can we recover from it? What did we do? Why didn't it happen? And that'll be disappointment. They'll be thinking, where can they improve? How can they change? And that's the level we're at. You've got to accept that these games come along and you don't always win them, but there were still positives in both of those games, wasn't there?
Yeah, just looking at that clip there, I think 2 of the good chances fell to Rodri. That one there, he hit absolutely brilliant. And it was just straight at the keeper. And I think for majority of the game, I think the other opportunity was Stones that may have had a header.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And it was right at the keeper, and it was a brilliant save. But, 2 yards to the right or left, and it goes in because it was such good contact. And so when we go away from the Palace game, we just that was the other good chance there from Rodri. If he keeps that down, perhaps that nestles into the corner. As a striker, that's where I'm going, into that bottom corner. But again, they'll look at this and think, the opportunities, we created the opportunities. So it's about just putting them away. See Jesus there in the shot there. Really pleased for him because he's another one that's got some assists in there and he scores goals, and another one of my favorite players.
Yeah,
I'm gonna squeeze in a couple more for you before the end of the program.
He has been he's been dynamite on that right hand side, and I guess once you are down to 10 men, there is actually a lot to be said there. I think I actually caught you when I was watching you outside on City Square. If that goal that was disallowed had gone in, probably could have been a different second half with 10 men.
It was going to be a definite different second half. Do you know, I was sat there with Alistair Mann and we were talking about what Pep would do. Would he go with a back 3? Would he not bring John Stones on? He didn't, and then he quickly obviously changed that. And I feel like once the goal went in, we thought, wow, it's on. Here we go. And then VAR again. It just seems to have you here, doesn't it? At the Etihad, it seems to get you right up on a real top performance that's coming your way. Deflation happened quite quickly, and I think that just sort of told the story, didn't it? We huff, we puff, we try other things, and then there was a brave performance with 10 men, but it just wasn't to be, and it was a difficult afternoon.
My only other question I wanted to ask was how long it took that keeper to take goal kicks throughout that game. That was so. I mean, I'm going to ask this question: what are the rules on keepers? Is there a set time?
They're allowed to do it until the 86th minute, and then he'll show the yellow card.
That I added an insult to injury. That I can't. Do you know what? I'm going to move on because it'll get me vexed again.
Yes, please.
Sure. I've never seen you angry, Shaun.
Yeah. The supporters were as well, weren't they?
Oh, fuming. Anyway, let's get back to our game against Bruges tonight. Of course, we played them 5-1 winners at Bruges. They are coming to the Etihad tonight, and their team looks like this. You'll have to forgive any pronunciations if you're watching around the world and go, that's not how you say it, Kel. I do apologise. Mignolet starts in net. Now, if we're looking at the back, Pep seems to think that it could be a back 5. That's looking like it's consisting of Mata, Hendry, Michel, and Soki, Sabol, Ritz, Vormer, Van Aken, Lang, and what a great young player this lad was. I really liked the look of him when we played him in Bruges. De Ketelaere. There's the bench as well for you on Bruges. So Pep seemed to think, boys, that it's going to be the 5 at the back. Does that play into City's hands, do you think? Or actually, do you think it could actually maybe just be a case of what we've seen quite a lot of times at the Etihad? 10 men behind the ball, maybe trying to hit on the counter-attack.
I think we've seen it in so many teams, actually. I was speaking to the Crystal Palace staff before the game, and I was talking about how they'd set up and what they'd do when they come to like a back 6. And I said, actually, notably, a lot of teams have come with the back 5. Because they've tried to stop the midfield runners. They can get in a good shape, and that third man run from the midfield or the 2-8s or whatever it may be. They can get in the areas between centre back and full back. That's where the real runs. I feel City were really clinical. Kevin De Bruyne can get in there, whiz the ball across, and I feel like teams have got a little bit of a better shape when they've done that. But you've also seen now City's build up slightly different. Fullbacks coming inside, wider players getting a little bit higher. We've seen different runs to try and come up against it, and I think that's just a natural progression. How do you do that if the other team does that?
Yes,
that's the point, isn't it?
I think absolutely brilliant. When you talk about teams, sometimes even going to a 6. I think the key for me then, if that happens to be the case, is shifting the ball, because that 3 in front of them, they cannot cover that space. And I think this is where, if we get Kyle Walker in that inverted position, and definitely Cancelo, because we're seeing Cancelo give either through balls or have their shots. And if we see Cancelo pop up in the sort of number 10 areas, he has that ability to put in the top corner or even thread those little passes. So if they've got that back 6, if you like, because City's got so much domination, I think they'll be key, popping into those number 10 areas. This is the great thing about the game and Pep and how he plays. you learn something all the time. And I'm watching and just thinking, he's made a fullback become a number 10. And I thought, when does that happen?
Well,
when does that happen?
Richard Dunn, sorry, Brownie, because we was going to mention this, but Richard Dunn was speaking about João Cancelo, of course, after that, man of the match performance actually in that last time out, and he said basically that he's an attacking fullback that almost has his most unique style, one that he's not seen. Has he almost invented his own style of playing as fullback, do you think? That was from Richard Dunn on Matchday Live a few weeks ago.
I just think what he's been allowed to do is get forward, hasn't he? Get forward, drive through from a central position at times, which is slightly different. He's got the licence. When obviously the wide player takes the fullback or the wing back right the way back and teams are sat in, the space is there. You've seen the midfield all move out, whether it be De Bruyne, whether it be Gundogan, can shift it. So at that point, where does the midfielder go? Who can go and press Cancelo when he's actually also inside one?
Yeah.
So at that point, the space is there. When they've cleared it, he can travel, he can do it quickly, and he now knows the confidence there to do it. So he'll say, great, and he'll take those shots, and he's got the licence to do it. We don't often see Pep allow the shots from distance, do we? But he seems to allow it with him.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting because we've still not quite. I mean, we actually have seen it in a couple of moments, but when following a little bit of when he was at Juve, I think he scored in that season before. He was nearly in double figures, and I think nearly 75% of those goals were outside the box. He's got a hell of a shot, so I think it's maybe just waiting to see that. But I guess his technical ability has to be of the highest degree, touch, mind, and also attacking prowess as a fullback to be able to do that and have license to, like Brownie says.
Having all those skills and the ability to be able to execute, because we've seen plenty of right-footed players play left back. And vice versa on the other side, but do they pop up in those positions and then have the quality to sort of get the ball out their feet and put it in the top corner or thread that pass? And this is, I mean, if Pep saw this, then that's even more kudos to him, because I think he's evolved into that accidentally, meaning playing on the left side, found himself into those pockets, or maybe Pep has said, listen, when you get in the final third, I want you to be inside because you have the ability to be able to find those passes and score this. And I wouldn't doubt Pep, because I reckon he's been able to see that ahead of time.
Shaun, do you know when we talk about the formations, the back five coming up against Manchester City, allowing João Cancelo to go, have you been that number 9 at the top of the pitch? Where would you want to be? So, like, City are playing with no 9, and they're all driving inside. Do you think us not having a 9, like, it makes a big difference against the back 5? And where would you want to occupy that back 5 if you were the 9? Because we don't have one.
Good question.
Well, when there's a back 5, there's very little space. And I've even seen teams when Sergio was playing, and teams have back 5, and you think he ended up scoring because the ability of him needing one chance and puts it away. So in games when I played and there's been a back 5, there's very little space. And if you're talking about a team that may morph into a back 6 at times, there's no space. So the ideal thing really against teams like this is to have a midfield player that would drift into midfield. So you'd want to play in front of them rather than actually, do you not think there's one who can be pivotable and stretch right on the shoulder, which we've seen Torres do at times, to stay right and to occupy? I just think it's a different arm, isn't it? To you need to stretch them. You need a player that's going to be there to stretch them in behind. Otherwise, they always know it's coming to feet. So if I'm playing there, I probably won't get many touches of the ball, but I've always got to be looking to thread in behind.
Off this, and I've got a final question on João Cancelo, but we had a text coming on our WhatsApp, which you can do the same, don't forget, from D. Webber, and he says, wanted to ask you both, do you think we would be able to win the Champions League without a recognised striker?
Webber. Do I think so? I think yes, and I know it's some people may doubt that we don't have this recognised. Torres, I think, is a recognised centre forward. I love him as a centre forward. But again, I just think that we hit form. There was a part of our season last season where we hit form, and I remember thinking, I think the game has evolved to a place where we don't need centre forwards.
Yeah.
But then I go and watch the Haalands, the Agueros, these centre forwards, the Lewandowskis, and I think, wow.
The first time we seen City do it, the first time we seen City do it was like Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Do you know, when you start to go, what? He's not played a striker, and everybody's thinking, really? Is that the case? We're not going to do that. And all of a sudden, the club and his team grew more confident, understood the roles, and I feel like the bigger games suited City.
Yeah.
And yes, you're going to say, right, there's only one game where it's changed, which was Chelsea.
Yeah.
So that's one game out of the whole journey in the Champions League. We're still seeing it now on all the teams, all the selection. I think we can stick to plan. I think ultimately, yes, you need that slight bit of luck when it goes to single games, but over the double, the double games, home and away, etc., two-leggers, I think we've done really, really well.
Yeah, thank you. Great question, Webber. And Cryptic City on the way. My final question to wrap up the Cancelo chat. I know there's a lot of City fans we talk about that left-back position. Is Cancelo the player to be our left-back? Do you think? Do we need a left-footed left-back, or do you think in Cancelo we found it?
I'm trying to actually combine Zinchenko and Cancelo in one name. Zinchenko.
Are they both your favourite players?
You've got it. Listen, Zinchenko came in the other day, and for me, he's never let Pep down. So I talk about both sides of my mouth when I talk about the City team. I love Cancelo, but Zinchenko's never let Pep down. He's come in and performs again. It's that eight performance, and you just think, how does he get rested? How does he? And then Cancelo comes in, and you think, well, how does he get rested?
Yeah.
I just think the two of them are quality, and they just offer just something slightly different to each other.
Now, listen. The answer to the question is: Do Manchester City need another left back? Yes, I feel like we do, to go to the next level, to take us on even better. A left-sided attacking player. I've got a bit of everything. Yes, for sure. Cancelo then can play left back. He can play right back. We're just getting cover. We're getting strength and squad. Zinchenko, by the way, in the big games did incredible.
Yes.
He shocked everybody. Remarkable, the maturity and the level of performance he has got. And he's certainly a real asset to the squad. But if we're talking about a single player to go and play week in, week out, or to be that left back predominantly, nobody takes your place type left back, then I think they still have to have a little look out there to see if that's there.
Nice one, gents. Of course, as well, Wilson Esbrand as well, who we saw a little bit earlier on in the season. Very hot prospect to left back for the future. Okay, Cryptic City, this is where we have some clues and we ask you to decipher. Can you work out who the player is in question, past or present? Now, my guests in the Crystal Palace game gave away the answer straight away, so don't do that today, okay?
I never get the answer. There's no chance of that.
Okay, so... that's how you send your guesses in, that man's hashtag Man City or the WhatsApp. I don't even know what that first clue is.
Annie at the end.
Annie at the end. Is that like computer?
I love Annie, by the way. What a barnet that is. The best in the business.
I love that infamous City player with computer in the name as well. That was it's a big giveaway, isn't it? That's a quarter, isn't it? Or are we saying that's Lincoln?
It won't have fell out of Shaun's pocket.
Dollar bills only.
I tell you what, I've got no guesses for that this week.
Struggling.
Yeah, has Darryl done this one again, has he? Made it. Listen, if you sat there going, how have you not got that, guys? Use the hashtag Man City, or you can actually send us a WhatsApp as well and send us your answers. We're going to be working through some of your answers at half-time and then come back to Matchday Live at full-time. That is where we'll reveal the answer of Cryptic City, if my guests haven't done it like they did in Crystal Palace. Thankfully, none of us are having any luck today this week. Let's talk about a player we talked about a little bit before. Shaun, your face lit up, so I'm going to come straight to you. Cole Palmer on the bench.
Yes.
I mean, what a way to really announce yourself. I know we saw that great cameo in the League Cup, but that really felt like doing it on the European stage, as we've said, is one of the biggest in world football. That was how he said, I'm now a firmly part of this squad.
Yes, I mean, he'll be delighted that he scored his Champions League goal. Every time he comes in, he looks at home. Obviously, he trains regularly with the first team, and I think he's one of those that's thinking, every time I step on the field, I want and I need to impress Guardiola. I need to have a performance where he knows and remembers Cole Palmer is doing well, plays well. So I like he gets the ball and he has this he drives forward and left footers for me I think because my left foot was absolutely average. He drives forward and creates things, and he just you see in his goal where he just cutely curls it into the corner. Lovely technique. I want to see a lot more of him.
I think anyone who's followed any of the academy football and followed him through the years will just know that is trademark Cole Palmer. I think and Pep spoke about it, that he's one of these players that just knows where the net is and can find it, which, I mean, obviously we know all top players can, but when you have that extra quality, Brownie, it's kind of, you don't want him on the ball around the box, do you?
No, he's got great quality, and I remember coming in on his debuts, and I'm thinking he's making a decision which is a safe one. Thinking, is he trying to, please his seniors? But all of a sudden now the penny's dropped. He's getting goals. He wants to work harder. Great finish. That's with confidence now. We've seen it on a couple of occasions, haven't we? That he's stepping into the team. He's opening that face. So we know he likes to shift onto his left. Just shift it out there and curl it home. Great finishes. But I feel like once he learns the game, once he starts to realise what this squad's about, positionally, where do I go when the game's got this in it, when it's got that in it. So that's different. That's something you're going to learn with playing these games. Whether he gets those minutes, he's certainly going to need it to get better and better. But it was brilliant, wasn't it, when Pep actually said, well, he is an academy player. And actually put him right back down. Yes, he's with us, but he's still an academy player. So have some of that, Pep said. You've done really well, but you've got to keep going and you've got to keep understanding. Look how patient Phil Foden was, and he's going to have to be the same, isn't he?
He's going to have to be the same. And the one thing I recognise with him is he knows that if he's going to come and move somebody out of the 8 position, I've got to be assisting goals or scoring goals. I think when players come in certain positions, they think, well, just don't give it away, and they can go away and say, I've had a good game. But he realises if he's going to, have a memory on Pep for Pep to go, I could trust in him and play him in a big game. He knows he's got to be assisting and scoring. And in that particular shot there, we saw he actually ignored Mahrez, because once he put on his left foot, he could have reversed it to Mahrez, who obviously would have been able to have the time to go and place it as well. But that's him saying, I want to impact the game.
Yes.
This is what I do. When I get this time and space, this is what I do. And it's a beautiful goal.
There's a great clip here, and when we talk about kind of, when you say Mahrez still sells people with that same trick, I don't know if this is anything good, but we could be enjoying this for seasons to come. I mean, this is almost the carbon copy finish, which if you go in the academy files as well, it'll be the same.
You just know, don't you? You use the centre-back or the player in front of you. You just open your body, lean across one way and just curl it across. It's so difficult for the goalkeeper as well, because once you're squared up and you've got that, he realises straight away that he can see the centre-back or see the player in front of him. All he does is shift his body across, open that face. Goalkeeper can't see it because he can see centrally that the line's there. You can see it straight away. And because you've got that execution, because he can just shift his body, moves it across. So he'll know now he's got that. So people will be waiting so he can just whiz it back to the near post. That'll be the next one. He'll shift one near post.
Speaking of, sorry, Shaun, do you want to add to that?
Just looking at that clip there, he's as Bruyne said, he's used the goalkeeper as a blinding spot and just sort of bent it around him, and that's experience too, to know you can use that player as a shield and go, keeper won't see this too very late. Quality by him.
I'm surprised Shaun knows that, because it was outside the box. You know that, Shaun?
Outside the box. Yes, outside the box. Actually, that reminds me. We have actually only scored 1 goal outside the box, so that will be it.
Oh, really? So the rest of it all been inside the season?
I was bored today, and I had,
he does his homework.
He's got in-house stats now, hasn't he? That's part of the coaching staff.
It's all being fed
You've got to be careful now, You've got to be careful.
We've had a great question come in from Dave on our WhatsApp number for you, Brownie, and kind of great to talk around Cole Palmer, of course, young player, 19. It says, for Michael, first of all, it's in 2 parts. How was it winning City Player of the Year at 21? And then do you see any similarities with yourself and any current City youngsters? I've got one on that, actually.
Well, I think firstly, when you play for a club like Manchester City and a young player at any level, really, in a Premier League club, for instance, to win that Young Player of the Year award is a fantastic achievement. To win the main Player of the Year at 21, I was delighted. I was ecstatic to be actually, to be given such an award at a young age. It tells you're doing something right, you're on the journey, you're earning that respect. But I just really enjoy watching the likes of Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, and interviewing, for instance, after the Carabao Cup. I was working and I was like, well, what are you going to do after all? I just go home, give them to my mum, the trophies, and that's 4 now or 5, and he's 18, 19, and you're just thinking, this is what it's about. I remember those days. I didn't play football for any of the royalties, the riches that come with it. I just wanted to play. I was on a couple of £100 playing for Manchester City in the Premier League, And that's the type of thing. I see that in like a Phil Foden and Cole Palmer.
I agree, yeah.
Just enjoying football.
Yeah,
and I think that's brilliant to see.
I think we've got a lot of young players actually that are the exact same. And I think the other thing being as well, seem to be very well grounded and kind of have that kind of well-rounded approach on football and what they're about as well. And that interview you're talking about after the League Cup, me and our kid were buzzing because as well, when you hear him that he's from Wythenshawe, and he literally sounds like he's speaking about a kickabout with his mates, but he's speaking about Riyad Mahrez and, you know, Raheem Sterling. It's amazing. The player I'd maybe say I found a little bit similar to you, Brownie.
Worried, yeah.
No, young players, Shaun, I don't know about you, but I think Tommy Doyle, that kind of the engine, that kind of the person who I'd want of a young player in the middle, who's, if we're having to dig it out like a Nigel de Jong, would be Tommy Doyle, I think, in our current crop. That would be my one, I think.
I see Brownie.
Don't know if you're happy with that, Brownie.
I see Brownie as a mixture between Rodri and Fernandinho. Brownie had a nasty side to him. And so you love that as a striker because you know that when the battle was there, Bruyne was up for the battle and he'd leave something on them. Fernandinho has that bit about him. People don't walk over Fernandinho, and Rodri's just calm and smooth, and Bruyne has that also about him. It's just connecting low passes.
I think Rodri's learning that a little bit, isn't he? But where Fernandinho's got that ruthless streak. And I think that's the difference. He will go and take something for the team to make sure they win or they progress.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference.
I can't remember if I've said this or not. I actually also learned that on the pitch that Michael Brown has that. We played a charity game against some City legends, yeah. I started in centre midfield. I spent 20 minutes there with Michael Brown. Was like, absolutely not. Will you like catch me near him? Bossed it. You absolutely bossed it.
You must have been in the centre circle. I can't move out of that now.
Moving from one of our young players to one of Belgium's hot young players, and I think he really stood out for me as well in our first game against Bruges this year, was De Ketelaere. He's just on the left there. He was kind of the player that he kind of was moving around the front three, mainly kind of on the left-hand side, but he looked quite tasty, didn't he? And he seems to kind of I've got a lot of plaudits over in Belgium and in Europe.
Yeah, he is, and he's progressing. I was actually just had a little coffee this afternoon. One of my pals is an agent, actually, and he was saying, look out for him, what he brings, what he can do on the football pitch. So he's taken the accolades, the ability to do different things on the pitch. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing him play this evening.
And did you enjoy him, Shaun? De Ketelaere?
Listen, I know he'll be excited about the game. And, you know, whenever I went to a big club, it was like wanting to perform. And he'll be thinking the same thing. The thing about City is, no matter who they got in the team, they sort of dominate possession. And as much as you want the kid to play and have a good game, he'll have very little of the ball.
Hendry as well, the centre-back, obviously came out of Celtic. Really seeing how he progressed. They lost out. He went out on loan. There was a clause for them to buy him, and then they sold him straight away to Bruges for more money, which was a tricky one. So he's one also that I'm seeing how he gets on to develop. Obviously under Brendan Rodgers he got a little bit, but under Lennon it didn't really work out for him.
Nicely. Well, if you just tuned in, Michael Brown and Shaun Goater with me in the Matchday live studio. Cel Spellman with you today. Thank you for joining us. And if you're looking for the team news, let me just bring you a little recap of how we're shaping up in our game against Bruges. Of course, halfway through our group stage now, and they are welcoming Bruges to the Etihad. In goal, Ederson. Kyle Walker playing right back alongside a centre-back partnership of John Stones, Laporte and Cancelo. Rodri, who has been a focal point and one of the first names on the team sheet this season. Rodri holding alongside Ilkay Gundogan, who captains the side, and Bernardo Silva, and a forward three of Jack Grealish, Phil Foden and Riyad Mahrez. Looking over to Bruges, their 11 looks like Mignolet, Mata, Hendry, Michel, Nsoki, Sabol, Ritz, Vormer, Van Aken, Lang, and we were just talking about there, De Ketelaere. Now, earlier on as well, we of course had our EDS team in the Youth Champions League game against Bruges, and it was, game of two halves really. They went storming into a 3-0 lead, and it was an amazing comeback from Bruges, who ended up winning the game 5-3. So I guess, not the way we wanted it to go, but a great lesson to learn for the young players as well. Actually, you can be 3-0 in the lead and the game's not done, Michael.
Very much so, and as well, when you're playing in these games, then everybody's watching. Everybody's here. It's the home game. Everybody's got their eye on, from the senior staff, from directors, from everybody, all are working around. And that's the one game, I would say as well, yes, it's Champions League, that you'll want to do well in. You'd want to show everyone, I want to be in that squad across the road later on the night. And that's ultimately what happens. And it's concentration. And I think that just tells you the level of the Champions League.
Yeah.
You're in a good position, you're comfortable in a game at home, and then you can go and lose it so quickly. So another learning curve. They'll be disappointed with it. It's how do you react? This is football. This is why the level is never simple, and they'll be disappointed to lose it from that position.
Is absolutely right. They've gone in at half time and they're thinking, this game sort of won. Coach, the manager has this talk and says, go on, continue doing that. And players are probably switched off. They're switched off thinking, I can't wait for tonight's game and thinking about other things. And then second half go out there, probably a couple of loose passes, not switched on. And then, but as Bruyne says, it's a learning lesson. They'll look back and they'll learn a lot from this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, we want to say, first of all, massive thank you to everybody who came out for our women's game at the weekend in the FA Cup, of course, against Chelsea. Unfortunately, commiserations to Gareth and our team, because unfortunately it didn't go their way and they have been knocked out. But they can get back to winning ways. And again, it seems that across the club, it seems to be similarities all over, looking for that bounce back. And the game tomorrow could be absolutely perfect. It's a League Cup game against Durham. And fingers crossed we'll be talking about another win. Spending a moment on our women's team that, of course, have been a formidable force across the seasons, actually, and really quite pioneering in the women's game. But, it comes as no surprise this season. It has been very difficult. Not to mention, though, of course, we have half the first team kind of out injured, which I think seems to be forgotten quite a lot outside the club. Gareth, I'm guessing, a man you both know really well. He's been on the show a few times. He'll be finding it tough at the moment.
Well, he is. He's a winner. And you just look at his journey throughout the club to where he's got to. And I think everyone has to understand where he started right through the academy, taking all the teams week in, week out, up into the EDS, and then onto this chance of managing his own team and his own squad. And he'll be hurting. Yeah. He loves to win. He loves to do the right things as well. Real gentleman. And he's missing those players. And we know what he's like. He'd be gutted at the moment.
Yes, he will. I mean, I've had the occasion to speak to Gareth a few times, and again, he's looking at different things. So he'll go to the drawing board and he'll look for ways to improve. But the biggest thing is he's had players out, some key players out for long periods, and any team, once you're missing some key players, he's had to obviously go quite a while without key players. So it's affected him, but he'll keep going and he'll turn it around.
Well, you just look at Liverpool last season was a prime example. And do you think actually maybe sometimes noise from outside the club that can get forgotten a little bit? Because it's not just a few key players. It's nearly half the squad are injured. That is a massive uphill battle he's got in his hands there.
It's a huge uphill battle, and that's any sort of challenge for any manager.
Yeah,
I mean, what I'm impressed with is he's looking to try different things, because I was one game I was watching. I think he had Gio Scott playing centre back.
Yes.
He's just looking at different options and alternatives with trying to find a way and a solution, because again, such a large part of the squad is depleted. And I believe Gareth will get it right. So. Yeah. He'll be all right.
All the love and luck, of course, to Gareth and Manchester City tomorrow in that game against Durham in the League Cup, as you say, back to winning ways. Now, there was some sad news this week about a Manchester City legend and a player that we all love so much, Sergio Aguero, who thankfully is now in a lot better condition, but he's going to be out for a few months. Sadly was taken off the pitch after complaining of small chest pains. So we first of all just want to send all our love and all our well wishes to Sergio Aguero and his family at this time. And as Pep said as well, the most important thing for him now is to be safe. But we can also enjoy one of Sergio's magical moments. There are so many for us to choose from. But today, Monday, was the 4th anniversary for Sergio Aguero becoming City's all-time record leading goal scorer, where he notched his 178th goal in the Champions League against Napoli. And we think it's the perfect moment to relive that magical time.
Taken away by Fernandinho. City players swarm forward. It's Sané on the run. He skips the challenge. It's taken on by Aguero. Is this goal number 178? It is! The new outright top goal scorer in Manchester City history. It's Sergio Aguero. A new record, and more importantly, City are back in front. Sané on the break. Look how he rides the challenge. Aguero picks up the slack and finishes past Reina. Napoli 2, Manchester City 3. It's Aguero with the goal. So many fantastic goals in the City career of Sergio Aguero, and the sheer volume as well make him one of the all-time greats.
One of the all-time greats that's going to live long in the memory of every Manchester City fan, and for the rest of our history, we again send you all our well wishes, Sergio, and hope you get better soon. And you kind of touched upon it before, Shaun. I mean, you see that. I mean, you just wish for those days to enjoy. You know, watching Sergio put the ball in the back of the net. But that's that kind of striking quality that those number 9s do have. You know, that you kind of do miss a little bit.
You do. I mean, he gets the ball with that sort of space, and again, it's on the edge of the box, and he's side-footing that, but with pace. Away from the keeper. And I looked and I thought, well, he had Sterling to his right. I think he was aware that that goal was the deciding goal in terms of 178, because when I was playing, I wasn't aware I had scored 99 or 100 goals. I really wasn't. I think Sergio was aware because he had Sterling right there on his right. There you go, Sterling. But I think Aguero went, no, I'm making this record here tonight.
I think Sergio always knew, though, didn't he? He always played off in interviews with him. But I feel like he was always one going, I want to be the best and I want to get to the top of every leaderboard.
Come on, you've got to team me up there. Shaun was saying he was never aware what he was on, where his next scoring was from, who was around him to the right-hand side.
Ronnie's calling me out. He's calling me out.
I mean, seriously.
Did you know?
Aguero,
Come on.
number 9. And to hear Shaun go to saying it, I mean, terrible. These are what these number 9s do. Very, very selfish. We do all the running, and they just come and knock it in the net, and there you go, we're all celebrating.
Did you know, Shaun?
99th 100 goal, I wasn't aware of. It wasn't until after doing the interviews. I honestly,
The sly smirk.
Yeah.
Well, from one super goal scorer to another, and we spoke about him a little bit before, Kevin De Bruyne, and now Shaun was saying as well, hoping that he comes onto the pitch and maybe just to kind of get a little 20 minutes in ahead of the derby. We can actually take a look at some of his best strikes in the Champions League so far.
Comes KDB, and shot finds its way in. City open the scoring just 11 minutes in. It's Kevin De Bruyne with a rocket from outside the box. Pep Guardiola wanted better finishing from his men, and Kevin De Bruyne obliges with a brilliant shot into the top left corner. Uses the option of the Belgian. It's still De Bruyne! Oh yes! Kevin De Bruyne snatches victory for Manchester City. Distance for the free kick. De Bruyne gets it over the wall and scores! City are in front! An exquisite free kick from Kevin De Bruyne. The fans at the Etihad go wild, and they have every reason to do so. Another option in the form of De Bruyne with the return pass. Oh, it's a brilliant goal from Kevin De Bruyne. Rishi. On the edge of a box again, Fernandinho for De Bruyne. De Bruyne shot! De Bruyne scores! City take the lead at the Etihad. It's Kevin De Bruyne once again. The Etihad erupts. City lead against Paris Saint-Germain with quarter of an hour left. They're on the cusp of a first ever Champions League semi-final.
Oh, I could watch those goals all day. I mean, the technique and the way he hits a ball is a joke, isn't it? No, just me.
It is.
Not even, were you doing that every
He's
week?
the
Were
best.
you?
I honestly, I'm embarrassed sometimes when I say it on commentary of how good he is and what I'm saying. You know, I'm thinking, God, I've got to slow down. I honestly, I think he's an amazing player and what he can do with the ball. I'm the biggest fan.
Well, left foot, right
And that's
foot.
the true biggest fan. I'm saying Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not saying the
Kevin
whole
De Bruyne
team.
is,
I'm saying
listen,
Kevin De Bruyne.
my favourite. Kevin, KDB, favourite. The guy's just quality. I mean, he strikes a ball with his left foot and you think, I'm sure he's left-footed. He just put that in the top corner with his left foot. And then right foot takes free kicks and you think, hold on, is he left-footed? The guy is he's just absolutely brilliant. His ability to strike balls so cleanly and accurately.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm sure we'll be seeing the best of Kevin De Bruyne soon as well, and we've already enjoyed so much from him already, and what a great player he's been to watch. Not long as well till we go until kickoff. Now, coming up at the Etihad, hopefully we're going to bring you as well. There is a light show that's happening in the Etihad in a little bit, which we're hopefully going to go live to with Alistair Mann when they are set up to. I think that's been in about a minute's time. So, gents, we'll carry on chatting, but just before, in case we have to go quickly, first of all, let me get your predictions for the game tonight. Michael, we'll begin with you.
I said 3-0 at weekend. I'm not sure I should say it again. So I'm going to say 3-0.
Okay. I actually was chatting to some young fans actually outside the ground before on the way in. So the young fans, they were so lovely, but two of them said 3-0. So you're kind of in good company there. Sean?
I'm going Hawaii 5-0. I'm going 5-0.
Wow, okay.
Five different players all scoring.
Oh, you know that.
Yeah.
Hey, all your favourite players
All my
score.
favourite players.
I love that. Well, listen, you can get you send us your prediction, but I can tell you as well, you've been sending in the guesses for Cryptic. I mean, Brownie's had a moment of divine intervention. Don't know if he's had a little text from a friend or someone, possibly. But
I'm a leader in this. I'm a real leader and believing I've got this.
Okay, right. Well, join us at half-time. There's been a few correct guesses. Get them in. And we're back at half-time, then full-time. But now we're going to hand over to Alistair Mann, who's with Andy Morrison for the commentary, which you can get on the Man City app as we prepare for this light show and then our game against Brugge. Come on, City. Over to you, Ali.